Mateus.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Christine Devine. Could drones target the West Coast?
The FBI issues a warning about a potential threat from Iran, but one expert we spoke to says you should not panic. Fox 11's Laura Diaz live in Hollywood tonight with more. Laura?
Marla and Christine, sources telling me that the FBI has indicators that that threat is not credible. I was not able to get anybody to go on camera about it. However, in the meantime, the FBI has had no comment, and we spoke to an expert who put it into perspective according to his studying.
This specific threat assessment, I think, is something that is very well could also be part of a ploy by the regime to sow fear and anxiety and to continue to raise the pressure on this administration to stop the fighting and to negotiate on Iranian terms. I still do not feel that the threat that is being presented is one that is imminent at the moment. I think it's good to know that if there's anything unusual flying overhead, we should all be cautious and aware.
That political scientist assessing the warning that went out earlier today that Iran aspires to attack California with drones. Now, the report says it would be retaliation for the war being waged against Iran by the U.S. and Israel. That warning reportedly went out to police departments up and down the state of California. I called several police departments in the greater L.A. area today, no one willing to comment, saying that they would defer to the feds on that issue. The information reportedly included an allegation that Iran would conduct a surprise attack from an unidentified vessel off the coast toward unspecified targets in California. Of course, this report coming out just days ahead of Hollywood's biggest night, the Oscars being held here in the heart of Hollywood. Security, of course, always high at that event, but this year expected to be stepped up. A 1-mile security perimeter is in place around the Dolby Theater. They are taking threats very seriously, although no credible threats to the ceremony itself. That was the feeling of local departments. Coming back live here in Hollywood, and I can tell you, ladies, that one of my assignments in my past life in journalism was to cover the red carpet for the big Oscar night. I covered it the year right after 9/11, and I can tell you that year it was absolutely locked down. I had an unfortunate wardrobe malfunction where the zipper on my dress split. I still wasn't allowed to go out and get a backup dress. I had to do the live show that way until later on that evening and bring in the second dress. That's how tight the security was. They weren't going to let anybody out once that perimeter had been secured. Laura Diaz reporting live from Hollywood, sending it back to the studio.
That's quite the memory. We're glad that you were able to shed some light on just how tight security is, Laura. Let's hope that, noting that it's not an imminent threat, that it stays that way. If you see something, say something. Laura Diaz, thanks. Live in Hollywood tonight.
War with Iran now in its 12th day with no end in sight. The Strait of Hormuz remains essentially closed to business. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard says it will not allow, quote, a single liter of oil through. Today, the International Energy Agency agreed to release the largest volume of emergency oil reserves in its history, 400 million barrels of oil. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, the death toll in the Israel-Hezbollah conflict climbed over 600. More than 800,000 have been displaced. U.S. Republican Senator John Kennedy says all indications point to the U.S. being responsible for bombing an Iranian girls' school that killed 165. Dozens of Democratic senators are demanding answers from the Trump administration.
Iran is out of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. That decision today from Iran's sports minister. Recent U.S. and Israeli airstrikes killed the Islamic Republic's supreme leader and triggered a region-wide conflict. The World Cup, which is hosted by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, begins in June. Iran was set to play 2 group stage matches in L.A. and 1 in Seattle. FIFA will have to reconfigure the group Iran was scheduled to play in, which could impact the level of competition. Live look outside. There is LAX, and we are really warming it up. No doubt you felt the warm up today.
Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger with a change in the weather, what we should know.
Yeah, so we did start the warm-up today. Not a hot day, but warmer. And tomorrow and Friday are going to be the hot days. Probably the hottest out of the next several, although this heat wave that officially starts tomorrow, I'd say will last all the way through probably the middle to end of next week. But let's start with short-term forecast. So Thursday and Friday, we have heat advisories in effect. What this means is it could be dangerously hot, especially for elderly or young children, or if you don't have air conditioning, and especially inland areas where temperatures will certainly reach the 90s. Along the coast, maybe closer to 80 or 80 tomorrow afternoon. Here's a look at what we can expect for the rest of the evening. So it's going to be a mild evening, very pleasant out there, mid 60s in the next hour or so, dropping down to eventually probably a little under 60, maybe upper 50s for lows overnight. And then tomorrow for downtown LA, here's the timeline of the temperatures. So again, early on, 6 a.m., 8 a.m., it's just fine. 70s at 10 o'clock, still not too bad. By noon, it's well into the 80s, and we're going to top out over 90 degrees. Many highs for inland spots will be 90 to 95 degrees tomorrow. Here's what that looks like on the map. So across the deserts, not as hot, at least in the high desert. The low desert will be hot for sure, though, into the 90s. And as we come in closer, notice Santa Clarita is around 90 degrees or so, but the valleys and the Inland Empire, 90 to 95 will be common, even from downtown LA down the 5 to inland Orange County. Mid-90s will be a possibility. And then as you head closer to the coast, it's a little more tolerable. Still very warm. Certainly for this time of year, this is way out of the norm by more than 20 degrees warmer than average, but still could top 80 degrees for some parts of the coastline. Friday is going to be very similar. The weekend scales back a little, but still very warm. And more heat comes next week. We got a lot to show you on the 7-day forecast. We'll get to that a little bit later. For now, back to you.
All right, Adam, thank you. Only on Fox 11, residents at a senior apartment complex outraged tonight over a growing nearby encampment. City leaders say outreach teams have visited the site several times, but tenants say the problems persist.
Fox 11's Rachel Aragon live in Boyle Heights with the concerns. Rachel.
A lot of frustration out here in Boyle Heights. This encampment we talk about right now is on Boyle Avenue, right next to the 6th Street Bridge. And seniors at that complex we talk about are very frustrated and say they just want to be heard and they want the city to address this for good. Take a look at this video right here. You're getting a better picture of this encampment that wraps around the corner and butts up against this complex. Residents of the city has been out here several times to clean it up, but only for all of it to return. We spoke to longtime tenants of the complex who say people at the encampment light fires and they say they just don't feel safe walking by anymore. Residents of the complex also say one of the biggest issues is the fact that the encampment is now encroaching on the Metro bus stop. They say it makes it hard for people to get on and off and wait by this bus stop.
It's really gotten bad. The bus comes and goes there, and we can't board the bus or get off without walking to the encampment. I walk my dog. And I don't feel safe anymore, and I am just at wit's ends now. No one listens.
2, 3.
Well, yesterday, Mayor Karen Bass helped open a new mental health care center in Chinatown, calling expanded treatment and residential services key to reducing homelessness. City leaders say homelessness in the region has declined for 2 consecutive years. Well, Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf pressed the mayor yesterday on the city's progress, noting that some residents remain skeptical about those numbers, especially after a recent audit raised concerns about transparency and how taxpayer dollars are allocated for homelessness programs. Well, we also reached out to Councilmember Isabel Gerardo's office, who represents this area. She says, quote, our office is aware of the encampment and has been actively coordinating with service providers to address the situation. She says outreach teams have visited this site several times and that the new CD14 Love team is already conducting proactive outreach, connecting people with housing referrals and services. Now, back here live in Boyle Heights earlier this afternoon, I did speak to several people living at that encampment. Some of them did actually speak to me, and they said that the city had been out here recently, but they said they're on some kind of waiting list and they're waiting on the city to follow up with them with some assistance. Reporting live tonight, I'm Rachel Aragon. I'll send it back to you.
Rachel, we know there are encampments in a lot of places. Sometimes the city does come through and do a big cleanup. Has that ever happened to that location, or has it just been there for forever?
It's been here for a while, but some of the residents did say they've seen it cleaned up several times. The city also confirmed that they've been to this site several times to clean it up. But as the residents told me earlier, it just gets back to what we just saw right now. So it's an ongoing issue, ongoing cleanup that the city is currently trying to tackle.
Tackle the cycle that is happening across so many neighborhoods across Los Angeles. All right, Rachel, thank you. Still ahead at 8, the war with Iran sending gas prices soaring across the U.S. How much it's costing you to fill up around town.
You'll never know what you'll find on a bus, especially in L.A. Look inside metros, lost and found. Ahead. A rideshare driver is accused of sexually assaulting a passenger, and investigators want to know if there are more victims out there. The Orange County District Attorney's Office has charged 43-year-old Felipe Rico Ceballos with multiple counts of sexual assault and kidnapping. They say he posed as a rideshare driver last month, allegedly offered to help an intoxicated woman and assaulted her at another location. Costa Mesa police detectives say Rico Ceballos is an actual rideshare driver. They're concerned there may be more victims. Contact them if you have any information. New details tonight in a Hollywood house fire that killed 2 sisters. The suspect tonight faces murder and arson charges, not just for this fire, but for several others across Hollywood. Prosecutors say 39-year-old Jovan Lamar DeVerne said fires at 10 locations this year, including this home near Gower and the 101 in February. The fire killed 76-year-old Maria Alarcon Valdez and her sister, 82-year-old Yolanda Honda DeVerne, pleaded not guilty.
The parents of a 12-year-old girl whom they say died because of bullying at school plan to file a legal claim against LA Unified School District.
That legal action was announced earlier today. Kimberly Zavaleta died from brain injuries last month. The family's attorney says she was critically injured by a metal water bottle when she tried to protect her sister from bullying. At the news conference, they played the video, which she says shows the entire incident. The medical examiner hasn't yet determined the cause of Kimberly's death.
School definitely knew who this group of bullies were, and again, they failed to intervene. They failed to take Kimberly's mother's concerns seriously. They didn't do anything about it.
Pienso que pues quiero despertar de este sueño.
Feels like this is a terrible nightmare that she wants to wake up from.
LAUSD responded to Kimberly's death, saying this: the district takes the safety and well-being of our students very seriously. We are currently cooperating with law enforcement in connection with this incident. A legal claim, by the way, is the precursor to a lawsuit. Ye, the rapper formerly known as Kanye West, ordered to pay $140,000 to a handyman who claimed he was stiffed out of payment. A jury decided today in favor of plaintiff Tony Saxon in the civil trial. Saxon testified Ye agreed to pay him $20,000 weekly to oversee renovations at Ye's Malibu mansion in 2021, but only paid a fraction of the amount due. Saxon also alleged unsafe working conditions. Ye denied wrongdoing, but the jury sided with Saxon. Well, listen to this. More than 1 million people ride the LA Metro every single day. That's a whole lot of people on light rail, subway, and bus lines.
Of course, belongings get lost or even forgotten, but LA Metro has a system to reunite passengers with their things. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez shows us.
Ever wonder what happens if you leave something behind on a Metro bus or train? Well, you come right here to the Metro Lost and Found, and you will not believe the stuff they got here.
We have a replica of the Eiffel Tower here. A customer left it behind on our public transit system.
How do you forget that?
That's a question that we ask ourselves. We have a surfboard, a pretty well-used surfboard. You can also see a saxophone. An LAUSD student left that behind on our public transit system.
And then there's the items that who forgets?
The items that really leave you puzzled. For example, we have this prosthetic leg that someone left behind at one of our stations.
They say they process about 15,000 items a year, but with the World Cup and a lot more visitors, they expect to be really busy. Now, if you want to find out more, perhaps you lost something on a Metro bus, I'm going to put the information on our website at foxla.com so you can find out how to get it back. At the Lost and Found, I'm Christina Gonzalez, Fox 11 News.
Coming up, rescue animals giving comfort to local seniors.
You can get involved with the Pug Project ahead.
Weather is sponsored by My Home Sold.
We are taking you high above the San Fernando Valley. Our camera on Mount Wilson there. Really nice night, and I'm sure it feels nice and comfortable outside, but it's not going to feel that way tomorrow, daytime anyway.
Adam Kruger with the weather. It feels more like summer for SoCal.
Yeah. Well, we started to warm it up a little bit today, but today will be the coolest we will see for at least, I'd say, the next 9 or 10 days, somewhere in that range. We've got quite the heat wave coming our way, with the next couple of days especially being hot. So, yes, a pleasant evening out there. Skies are clear, temps are nice, but that summer heat is on the way. So let's get into it. Our headline is showing that the at least week-long heat wave starts tomorrow. The hottest days in the short term will be Thursday and Friday. That's where we'll see 90s for inland areas, 80s along the coast. Temperatures 20 to 25 degrees warmer than normal for this time of year. It's this area of high pressure that's unusually warm. Now, highs usually bring warm air, clear skies, but this is just unusually warm and a strong area of high pressure for this time of year. So this is moving in, and again, the heat starts to crank up tomorrow. I'll show you what the numbers look like in a moment, but I just want to show you the pattern going into Thursday and Friday. This high lingers, so that will create some hot weather. We go into our weekend and it will be very warm, just not as hot, because one high is departing and the next one's not in here yet. That arrives around Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday lingers next week. We're thinking even beyond Wednesday, probably Thursday, Friday of next week, this high is still hanging out, which will again make for some very hot temperatures here. Sunshine tomorrow. We don't even really expect much of those clouds early in the morning at all. So sunny through the day. We start off pleasant in the 60s. Even 10 o'clock's not too bad in the 70s. But look at those temperatures, over 90 degrees. The specific forecast is for downtown LA. But as you see on the map here, many other areas will see those temperatures in the 90s. First of all, up north across, let's say, the high desert, Antelope Valley, it'll be 80s there. Santa Clarita, more like 89 degrees. Out towards the low desert, 90s, like we'll see for a lot of the greater LA area. Big Bear in the mountains there, just under 70. That's our nice cool spot. Now, as we come in a little closer again, you can see all these 90s for inland Orange County, a lot of the LA area, the valleys, the Inland Empire, mostly between about 90 and 95 degrees. Then naturally, as you work your way a little closer to the coast, it is going to be a little bit cooler. And if you think back to this past weekend, you might remember we had 80s to around 90 for everywhere, including the coast. And that's because last weekend's heat was driven by Santa Ana winds. That's not the setup this time around. So there's still going to be a natural kind of cooling effect for the ocean, keeping the coast a little cooler than inland areas. That'll be the case all through this upcoming heat wave. For Friday, temperatures are not much different. Still, we expect very warm 80s along the coast, 90s into the inland areas, including the valleys and the Inland Empire. And then Saturday, here's what I was talking about, how it's still very warm, but the real high heat backs off. So instead of 90s, we get that replaced with 80s, and it probably stays under 80 degrees along the coast for this weekend. Here's what the next 7 days look like. Now, again, keep in mind, the average is 70 for LA this time of year. So we're more than 20 above that. The records to beat for the next couple of days would be 93 and 90. So pretty good bet that we'll have new record highs for these dates in the next couple of days. Weekend, we come down a little to the 80s. We go back up to around 90 and just hold out in that general range through at least the middle of next week. For the coast, next couple of days are in the 80s, and then it's 70s this weekend and back up to around 80 or so for next week. Valleys and Inland Empire will also obviously be hot, 90s, then 80s, and then back to 90s through much of next week. In the mountains, it's going to be really warm for this time of year, with a stretch of days in the 70s and maybe even getting close to 80 in places like Big Bear around Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. In the high desert, not extremely hot, but very warm, 80s, and then does get to the 90s after the weekend. The hottest temperatures will be in the low desert, like the Coachella Valley, where temps head into the 90s, obviously, but up around 100 this weekend. And then next week, those temperatures around Palm Springs will be going over 100 degrees. Back to you.
All right, still ahead. The war with Iran, skyrocketing gas prices.
How much is costing you to fill up in California? Plus, Matthew Seedorf.
Yeah, we're in Malibu tonight, where residents are saying that the rebuild from the Palisades fire is moving at a snail's pace. What they say the main issue is right after this.
live across SoCal. This is LA Live News Tonight on Fox 11 Plus.
Residents are angry in Malibu at the pace of the rebuild after the Palisades fire.
More than 14 months since the fire, less than 40 building permits have been issued. Let's go live to Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf in Malibu now with more.
Yeah, Marla, Christine, just imagine the frustration from these residents after everything they've gone through these last 14 months now. And if you look around, Mike will show you, it almost looks like the fire could have been just a few weeks ago. There's really been not a lot done here along PCH. We'll even pan this way, and it's basically all just beach where these homes were. In the last 14 months, again, as you were saying, so far, 37 building permits have been issued, but more than 600 homes burned here in Malibu. So residents not happy at all about the pace things are moving so far. You describe the main problem impacting this rebuild.
Safety over practicality as a number one factor.
Essentially codes.
Essentially codes that have gotten overly burdensome for people to navigate through.
They're basically saying, well, we don't trust the geology from 65 years ago. We're going to, as long as we're going to, hold you to other code for the fire, we're going to hold you to other code that's unrelated to the fire.
Caissons, that would cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
Exactly, and take time.
About 5% of the homes here in Malibu now have those permits so they can begin the process of rebuilding. So do the timeline there, we're on pace to have construction complete here in Malibu in 20 years. For residents, that's definitely not fast enough. They want this whole thing to speed up. Reporting live tonight, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Any reaction tonight from city officials in charge of the permitting process?
Yeah, we reached out to the city, and so far tonight we haven't heard back. I know that they're trying to expedite it as much as they can, but a lot of it, it sounds like from residents, the city is essentially saying it's out of their control, that these are permits. This is just the process it is now to rebuild homes. So we're talking about things like caissons on a property that's more than 60 years old. They didn't have to do those caissons when it was built, but now the certain codes that are in place require that to be the case. And so it's a more costly endeavor than these homeowners imagined, and it's also more time consuming.
Can't imagine. I know it's dark out there now. I'm wondering, though, as you made your way up, I know you know the area well, were you seeing some signs of progress? We know there is some building going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually probably slower than what we're seeing in Pacific Palisades. We're talking, again, 37 single-family homes that have received those permits. So at this point, there's a lot of just concrete slabs, and then kind of like what we're seeing out here. Again, it almost looks like a time capsule where not a whole lot has changed in the last 14 months here, unfortunately.
All right, Matthew Seedorf, thank you so much. And I have some more perspective on this very issue. I was in the Palisades and I saw, so we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, here's this. Rebuilding to prevent history from repeating itself in the Pacific Palisades. That's the mission of a real estate developer who recently finished building a fire-resistant home. I set out there to see for myself.
Oh, wow. Just days after the 2025 Palisades fire decimated several of his properties, including this one on Bienvenida Avenue, Artie Tavangarian was certain of one thing.
We got to do something different if we're expecting being around Santa Monica Mountains.
So the developer, with a 45-year record of building some of the finest homes under his label, the Aria Group, wasted no time rethinking rebuilding. From all that devastation to what's being dubbed the first fire-resistant home in the Palisades. Let's take a look inside. What makes this home so different?
It has a precision steel structure that is all, there's no wood framing.
In just 6 months, Tavangarian built this 4,200 square foot, 4-bedroom, 4.5-bath, 2-story home to withstand the most extreme wildfire conditions.
These are special fire-rated shutters.
It's also outfitted with heat-resistant windows. The steel frame of the home itself, 12 inches thick, designed to endure 6 hours of flames. The eaves, non-combustible.
Above all of these shutters, we have a sprinkler system, and we have a whole system that will detect the fire via satellite.
Plus, the backyard is loaded with 2 water tanks filled with 20,000 gallons.
In case there was no city water, automatically we jump in and use the tanks.
No power? No problem.
We have Tesla batteries, we have generator, we set up for solar at the same time.
The price tag to build this, Tavangarian estimates about $3 million. While it may not be feasible for everyone, he's hoping his work inspires lawmakers and insurance companies to provide better incentives for home hardening so that before long it becomes more mainstream for the sake of his family and yours. How proud are you?
Maybe it's my calling that this stage of my career to focus on something that has a bigger impact.
The end game? To prevent another January 7th. All right, Artie, it's been a delight.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Well, the home is not for sale. Tavangarian tells me he built it for his daughters, but moving forward, the homes he does build will all include fire-resistant elements. So you asked Matthew about what it was like to drive to Malibu, and did you see a lot of signs of life? I was in the Palisades and driving along. You drive through town, you drive by Palisades High School, and the short answer is no. There was not a lot of rebuilding going on. Yeah, sporadically, some construction, sure, in the Alphabet Streets, but up where he is, where this home was, it was sporadic construction.
Well, that home is stunning.
It is stunning.
How much studying did he feel he had to do to change the way he thinks about building?
Ultimately, I mean, that's a great question. He just basically, because he has this architecture firm and he's been doing this for so long, he knows how to plug into all of the various resources to make elements of the home fire resistant. So he pulled all those brilliant minds together, and the result is that.
I think a lot of people are looking, where do I sign up?
Exactly.
Wow, interesting. As the bombing of Iran continues, filling up at the pump is getting more painful by day. Gas prices are skyrocketing across the nation and here in SoCal. The average price for gas in LA is now $5.38, up 4 cents from yesterday, 58 cents up from 1 week ago. At one downtown LA station, gas is an eye-popping $8 a gallon. U.S. gas prices have gone up 17% since the start of the war. The president claims prices will come down soon. Fox's William LaJeunesse is here in L.A., the latest on the spike.
You have been fleeced by the oil companies. You have been screwed for decades and decades by the oil companies.
For years, Governor Gavin Newsom blamed oil companies for California's high gas prices. Today, he says the culprit is President Trump.
You'll be paying more because of Trump's war.
What Newsom doesn't say, California's gas taxes and fees are more than double the national average. Also, 30 years ago, 95% of California's oil was domestic, most from here and Alaska. Today, however, California gets more than 60% of its oil from overseas, by tanker, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Brazil. And that makes California more susceptible to disruption. Also, it's not green. According to studies, domestic crude is cleaner, generating 20 to 50% fewer methane emissions.
California is the most energy-dependent state in America. 63% of their oil gets imported.
That's not by accident. California's climate agenda forced companies to close refineries from 42 decades ago to just 8 today. California now imports gasoline from Asia, raising prices, according to Chevron.
The lawmakers in California have decided that they don't want critical infrastructure like refineries. They've been working to put us out of business for 20 years.
Newsom claims it doesn't matter where the oil comes from because everyone pays a world price. He also says repealing the state's record high gas tax would not reduce prices because, in his words, big oil would not allow, quote, a single cent to be passed on to consumers. In Los Angeles, William LaJeunesse, Fox News.
Terrifying moments at Cable Airport in Upland. A small plane flips upside down after crashing during takeoff. Sky Fox over the scene earlier as crews used a crane to move that Cessna. The pilot did walk away unhurt. A passenger described as an elderly woman was taken to the hospital with only minor injuries. Officials say the plane couldn't stop in time, hit a safety embankment and flipped. From what we can tell, not much damage to the aircraft considering what happened.
President Trump takes his midterm message on the road to Kentucky as the Iran war threatens to put a weight on the economy, which is believed to be the most crucial issue to voters. Fox's Caroline Elliott reports.
We have to win. The midterms are going to be very,
very important to keep it going.
President Trump rallying voters Wednesday in Kentucky with a harsh warning.
They want to raise your taxes higher than you've ever had before.
And like any election year, Republicans and Democrats can't agree on much, but both parties do agree the focus should be on the economy.
That is really what is important to a lot of Americans. It's pocketbook issues.
This president promised affordability, and he promised no wars. I think the American people will draw their own conclusions.
But the latest Fox News poll shows voters still think things are too expensive. Compared to a year ago, 81% believe grocery prices have gone up, and the majority also said the cost is up for utilities, healthcare, housing, and now gas.
Costs are going up for many reasons, but including because of this war of choice that the president has decided on his own to wage.
Democrats say when it comes to the cost to fill your tank, President Trump is to blame. But Trump described the hike in prices as short-term and said the conflict in Iran had to be done.
We'll be back on track in a pretty short while. Prices are coming down very substantially. Oil will be coming down. That's just a matter of war.
President Trump said Wednesday he would tap emergency crude oil reserves to help bring down the cost. In New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
A new study shows nearly a third of Americans are afraid of hitting the road alone. Many people explore the idea, but factors like safety concerns, cost, and simply the fear of being alone keep people from booking the flight. According to the study by Talker Research, solo travel was also found to be beneficial for people in relationships. People who participated in the survey say it gave them time to recharge, do things their partner isn't interested in, and become more independent. The Olympics not only highlighted amazing performances, but also the importance of mental health for athletes in their quest for gold.
The mental load is not just heavy for kids in sports, but for this next generation of children growing up in a digital world. Fox 11's Sandra Endo explains what to watch out for.
Mastering a perfect spin on the ice or dominating on the field takes hours, weeks, and years to perfect. But all that effort can come crashing down in an instant.
Definitely there's so much pressure on young children and teens that we weren't seeing generations in the past.
The mind is often stronger than muscle, so a negative thought, anxiety, and the pressure to be perfect can ruin years of practice. Not only for athletes and performers, but child psychologists say most young kids today are living in a pressure cooker.
We see little kids are on iPads. They're seeing, they're seeing another 6-year-old in their dance competition and they're doing crazy pirouettes and all this stuff. And they're like, wait, I can't even finish one little dance move. So it starts very young, way younger than we've ever seen. So yeah, social media has a huge impact. They're comparing themselves with every little nook and cranny to every other kiddo out there, and that just causes pressure.
Mental health experts say they've seen a huge surge in parents and children seeking help. Living in a social media world of comparison, it's not only stealing joy, but creating anxiety and depression.
Some of the basic symptoms we'll see: sleep impacted, socialization, so they'll isolate, they'll withdraw. We'll see, externalized behaviors like differences in breathing, biting nails, headaches. We call them, in psychology, we call them psychosomatic symptoms, which essentially means the body is connected to the heart and the soul and emotions. So a lot of the behaviors will come out, and especially like tummy aches, stomach aches, feeling nauseous. We hear that a lot from kiddos.
Psychologists say parents can do their part by being in tune with their kids. They say kids need to find the fun in what they're doing in order to perform. Seeking perfection at an early age is not always the way to go for long-term success.
Our goal is to give kiddos tools now so that as adults they're successful, so that when they have their wings to fly, they know how to handle things like failure, like mistakes. And frankly, what we're seeing in this society, and I could get into a whole thing on parenting, is that as parents, we're always there to rescue our kids. It's okay if your kiddo makes a mistake. It's okay if they fail, because they're going to grow 10 times more, 100 times more from this. And in the moment, it's really going to hurt your child, but a day from now, 2 days from now, a week from now, you can really sit there and reflect and that's where the growth happens.
Nurturing growth as a pathway to success. Sandra Endo, Fox 11 News.
Coming up, we are checking in with Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger.
Yeah, we're talking more heat in that forecast. Heat advisories kick in the next couple of days, so it officially turns into a heat wave. We've got highs in the 90s, and this heat wave might last longer than you think, well through next week. Got that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
Season opener is Sunday. The team practicing today at their training facility in Thousand Oaks.
Fox 11's Nick Garcia shares what the players and managers are looking forward to this season.
Hey there, yes, we're here at the training facility for Angel City FC here in Thousand Oaks. Beautiful day for training day. I can tell you the team is feeling ready.
I think I'm excited to obviously play at BMO. I think every time we're playing at BMO, the crowd is so loud, and we have such a new team this year. It's very fresh, but I think the connections on and off the field have gone really strong. But I think just playing in front of my friends and family is always like the best feeling.
We're here with assistant coach Larry Earnshaw. Such a beautiful day. The girls have been running drills all morning into this early part of the afternoon. Talk to us about what you were seeing there and what you're excited about for Sunday's home opener.
Yeah, we're prepared for Chicago. We've been able to watch them throughout pre-season. We know what to expect. I'm sure there'll be some things we don't expect that gets thrown at us. But we feel like we go into this weekend leaving no stone unturned. Whether that's in open play or in set-piece play, we're ready.
Is this going to be the year for the championship?
If we bring Coach over here right now, he'll say, let's keep pursuing championships, but growth and improvement and development is what we're chasing every day. And I know we achieved that this training session. I know we've been doing a great job throughout pre-season. But what we will be able to guarantee is we've got some superstar talent, some of the best young youth UN's women's national team players that are playing at our club.
Again, that season opener and home opener is this Sunday at 4 p.m. at BMO Stadium. Very exciting. The team tells me they feel like this is going to be the year. In Thousand Oaks, I'm Nick Garcia, Fox 11 News.
I feel like Nick and the ladies played it off pretty good. It must have been really hot there in Thousand Oaks today.
Yes, but not, warm, not hot. Let's say that,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah. I have to check the exact temp. I know there were some 80-degree temps kind of out in that direction today. So 90s, though, will be much more common the next couple of days.
But for Sunday when they go to watch the game.
Yeah, so that's going to be better than the next few days. It'll be 80s for highs at that time. And then if the game is in the evening, did they say the game time? Did I miss that in the story? Probably evening, right?
Bottom line is it's going to be a little bit cooler on Sundays, what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Good point. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm going to talk about in the next couple of minutes here. So we have this week-long heat wave, maybe even longer than a week, that starts tomorrow. That's when our temperatures really start to heat up. The next couple of days will be the hottest out of the next several. So we have heat advisories in effect for Thursday and Friday, 80s along the coast, 90s for inland areas and not just valleys and Inland Empire, but downtown LA, inland Orange County, 90s for high temperatures there. I want to start with a wide view, though, to show you that you might remember from yesterday, you may have heard of the deadly severe weather, unfortunately, all the tornadoes, the massive hail. Illinois likely set a largest hailstone ever measured record at 6 inches in diameter. That was all from this system that's continuing east. It's not as intense as it was yesterday, but still very disruptive storms heading towards the east coast. Meanwhile, over here on the west coast, we've got high pressure. This is an unusually warm dome of high pressure for this time of year. That's moving in, and those temperatures will probably be around record highs for some spots locally here tomorrow and again on Friday. The records to beat are 93 and 90 for LA, and I think we're going to at least reach or probably exceed that. So here's our pattern, and again, we've got this high. You see this orange color representing where there's really warm air. So that's with us Thursday and Friday. We see a slight reduction in the heat this weekend. It's still very warm. Many areas are in the 80s, but not as hot as what we'll see tomorrow and Friday. That's because this high moves away, but another one's coming in right behind it. And so this pattern continues next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're back into some pretty hot temperatures. There's probably going to be heat advisories issued again for some areas next week. And this is through Wednesday, but I'm thinking through about Thursday or Friday, this high is likely to hang out. There are some indications that next weekend we start to change into a pattern that's maybe closer to average temperatures for this time of year, but not all models are in agreement on that yet. It's a long way off. But we know for sure the next 7 days will be hot. Here's what tomorrow looks like, the timeline for downtown LA, and the first few hours of the morning, not that bad. In the 60s, we've got 70s at about 10 o'clock. 80s at noon. Temperatures will go up into the probably lower half of the 90s for the highs during the afternoon. The map of our highs around the area tomorrow, well, the red represents where the hottest temperatures are. So between the mountains and the coast is where we see that. Out to the high desert, it's warm but not super hot in the 80s there. But as we come in closer, look at all the 90s on the map. The exception would be closer to the coast, where highs might be around 80. Some spots could be a little below that, some spots a little bit above that, but very warm, and certainly very warm for this time of year. LA's average high is 70 here in early March. So, you know, we're way above that by more than 20 degrees. Now, as we look at Friday, it's essentially the exact same kind of a pattern with the temperatures. Something I mentioned earlier this evening, and you'll notice here again, the coast is cooler, and that's because it's not the same type of hot pattern that we had this past weekend. That was more so from Santa Ana winds, which pushed the hot air all the way to the coast. And that's why we saw temperatures at the coast as hot as inland areas last weekend. This is different. This is just a broad kind of dome of hot air overhead, and there's still going to be a cooling effect from the ocean near the coast. So that's why there's a little bit of relief there. Over the next 7 days, like I said, really hot temperatures, especially the next 2 days. A little better over the weekend. It's kind of like manageable heat. Still, I would call it a heat wave, though. Temps around 15 above normal. And then we go even hotter again next week with those highs back around 90. That was for LA. Here's for the coast the next couple of days into the 80s, 70s at the coast this weekend. I imagine many people will be at the beach. I know they were last weekend, but last weekend the wind was kind of annoying at the beach, so we won't have that this time around. Valleys and IE, you got 90s for most days except for the weekend. That kind of works out pretty good. The extreme heat lets off a little bit there. Mountains are very warm for March in the 70s. The high desert, it's 80s through the weekend, 90s next week. And in the low desert, we've got triple digits on the board, over 100 degrees next week. Back to you.
Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. All right, more news ahead here at 8.
But first, here's a preview of what's coming up at 9. A new poll may have good news for Democrats in the California governor's race. I speak with the pollster behind it. Plus, the Consul General of Israel will join me in studio live to talk about the war with Iran and give us The perspective from Israel, that's ahead at 9. Rescue animals from Pug Nation paid a visit to the Belmont Senior Living Facility in Hollywood for some playtime and a cozy gift. The residents handmade fleece blankets for the adoptable pugs that were rescued, and they're also looking for some new homes. This project keeps seniors active while supporting the pugs currently awaiting adoption. Folks at Belmont say giving back to the community makes a big difference to the pups and seniors alike.
Our incredible residents found a way to put together 40 blankets for these incredible little dogs, and they worked really hard. They did it with such vigor and such joy in their hearts, and it was our pleasure to put all the blankets together.
Oh, how sweet. Right now, there are 61 pugs at the Pug Nation Center in Carson waiting to be adopted.
People planning bachelorette parties have a new trick up their sleeves. More brides-to-be and their friends are booking magicians. It's a trend away from a traditional bachelorette entertainment. Picture that. And something they can make everyone feel comfortable. One magician who says he's been booking more bachelorette parties says the focus has shifted from spectacle to connection and creating memorable experiences.
Oh, I would love that.
That could be fun, right?
Absolutely.
Always.
I mean, who doesn't love a magician?
Yeah.
Reminds me of the Magic Castle.
Yes, exactly. Coming right to you at your party.
Yes.
Love that. All right, don't go anywhere. We're not done yet.
LA Live News Tonight continues at 9 o'clock right after the break. We'll see you then.
across SoCal. This is LA Live News Tonight on Fox 11 Plus.
You can take them out by this afternoon. In fact, within an hour. They literally would never be able to build that country back.
Now at 9, there's, quote, practically nothing left to target. After 12 days of strikes in the Middle East, President Trump claims the war with Iran could end soon. And could California be at risk of an Iranian drone attack? A new memo has officials on alert. Plus, the battlefield is economic. Gas prices are soaring, and the Strait of Hormuz is at the center of it all.
And we've got a rare for March heat wave on the way, not just because of how hot it's going to be, but how long this heat wave will last. Next couple of days, heat advisories in effect. Temps in the 90s. We'll talk more about it coming up. Marla.
All right, Adam, thank you, and thank you for being with us. You're watching LA Live News Tonight. I'm Marla Tejas. Almost 2 weeks into Operation Epic Fury, U.S. and Israeli forces continue targeting sites across Iran. Tensions are escalating at sea, with Iran attacking vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, critical waterway for global oil. Meanwhile, Iran's new supreme leader remains out of sight after reportedly being injured in a strike that killed his father. Back here at home, California officials are addressing concerns about a potential drone attack linked to the Iran conflict. While a recent memo warned of such a possibility, authorities stress there's no credible intelligence to support it. Fox 11's Laura Diaz, she's live in Hollywood after speaking to a security expert. Laura?
Yes, Marla. Sources telling me today that the FBI has indicators that indeed that report is not credible. They did not return our phone calls throughout the day, meaning the FBI. But we did talk to an expert to get context.
This specific threat assessment, I think, is something that is very well could also be part of a ploy by the regime to sow fear and anxiety and to continue to raise the pressure on this administration to stop the fighting and to negotiate on Iranian terms. I still do not feel that the threat that is being presented is one that is imminent at the moment. I think it's good to know that if there's anything unusual flying overhead, we should all be cautious and aware.
That political scientist assessing the warning that went out earlier today that Iran aspires to attack California with drones. Now, the report says it would be retaliation for the war being waged against Iran by the U.S. and Israel. That warning reportedly went out to police departments up and down the state of California. I called several police departments in the greater L.A. area. No one willing to comment, saying that they would defer to the feds on that issue. The information reportedly included an allegation that Iran would conduct a surprise attack from an unidentified vessel off the coast toward unspecified targets here in California. Of course, this report coming out just days ahead of Hollywood's biggest night. The Oscars held here in the heart of Hollywood. Security always high at that event, but this year expected to be stepped up. A 1-mile security perimeter is in place around the Dolby Theater, taking threats very seriously. No credible threats to the ceremony itself. Now, coming back live here in Hollywood, we are, of course, just a little distance from where that live event will take place on Sunday. You see the barricades that are set up behind me, but we talked to people about the FBI warning earlier this evening.
I did hear it, and it's kind of concerning. And if it's a real story, I think this needs to cancel. The Oscars really need to cancel immediately.
It concerns me for my safety and also for my family, and also for plenty of strangers that I don't know.
Obviously, people here in this country concerned about potential attacks to this country. They're on hyper-vigilant alert, being aware of what's going on around them. But Marla, so far it's been very quiet here. We've not had any problems, and we'll, of course, see the security stepped up as we get closer to Oscar's biggest night. I'm Laura Diaz reporting live from Hollywood, where you can hear a siren behind me, sending it back to the studio.
Let's hope it's nothing too serious, Laura, as the cops are coming right behind you right now. Multiple vehicles. Okay, Laura, thank you for your reporting. And we do have more on this reaction from California Governor Gavin Newsom. He responded to this threat on social media saying this: I'm in constant coordination with security and intelligence officials, including at the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, to monitor potential threats to California, including those tied to the conflict in the Middle East. While we are not aware of any imminent threats at this time, we remain prepared for any emergency in our state. Now, he also had this to say.
It's the end game here. We've seen gas prices spike because of his decision, cause and effect by 69 cents here in the state of California, 60 cents plus overall on average across the United States of America. We've seen markets roiling. We've seen no real end game in sight.
At last check, President Trump did not directly respond to Newsom's comments today, but he did bash Newsom on Truth Social about an interview he did last week. And as you just heard Newsom say, gas prices are surging, averaging $5.38 in L.A., with some stations hitting $8 a gallon. Oil prices are climbing, with U.S. crude at $87 and Brent crude at $91, while Iran warns of a potential $200 per barrel price. The president says relief is on the way. And coming up in just a few minutes, our Ed Laskos joins us live with a closer look at local gas prices. And the Pentagon has informed Congress that the first week of the war with Iran has cost $11.3 billion, with $5 billion spent on munitions over the first weekend alone. The Trump administration had previously indicated it would be sending Congress a request for supplemental funding for the war, but that idea appears to have cooled for now. And let's not forget, the war in Iran is a joint effort between the U.S. and Israel. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in alignment when it comes to wiping out all nuclear capabilities in Iran. For more on Israel's perspective, the Consul General of Israel to the Pacific Northwest, Israel Bahar, is joining me now in studio live. Thank you so much for being here on LA Live News tonight.
Thank you, Marla.
Well, first and foremost, since we are here in California, I want to get your response to these threats that, by and large, most of authorities are saying there's no imminent threat in terms of a potential Iranian drone attack here in California. What are you hearing, and how concerned are you?
No, I'm not concerned on the specific if there is an imminent attack or not. That's up to the American authorities to decide. But I think there is a greater point here, which is the fact that Iran is the #1 sponsor of terror globally. And if we're coming to reality that California is under a suspicion, under a threat by the Iranian terror regime, here in America, I think it says all. And only last week we saw that the Congress voted to label Iran as the #1 sponsor of terror globally. And here is the proof of it.
Well, in terms of a timeline, you know, President Trump has said he expects this to be over soon. He's been asked specifically when that is. He just basically says soon. From Israel's perspective, what is the timeline and what is the end game from Israel's point of view?
Well, first of all, we are aligned with the president 100%. He's going to decide the date. From our perspective is every day that we continue to hammer the Iranian regime and degrade its capabilities, it's a good day. We're trying to prevent them from having a nuclear bomb. We're trying to prevent from them to have stockpiles of 8,000 ballistic missiles. And we're trying to make sure that they're not going to continue to finance terror globally, not against California, and not against Israel through their proxies in the region. So that's our goal. About the insurgency effort that everybody is talking about when it's going to happen and take place, really what we're trying to do is to create the conditions for the Iranians themselves on a specific D-Day to come out to the street and topple this regime. We are hopeful. We hope that that's what's going to be the end game of the Iranian people. And if it's going to happen, then we're going to see a different, positive Middle East.
A different, positive Middle East. Well, you know, President Trump also asked about that this week on the new supreme leader of Iran, of course, the 56-year-old son of the now deceased Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Your thoughts on that? Because President Trump, quite frankly, said on Monday, if he is in charge, and I know there are reports that he's injured and he has not been seen since his father was killed, nonetheless, Trump went on to say that essentially this could be the same Iran as we knew it before.
Probably worse. I totally agree with the president. I think it's going to get worse because this guy specifically, he's radical. He's tied to the RGC. They're the one that appointed him. not the political bodies of the regime, but the RGC, which is the Revolutionary Guard bench. And he feels that he owes his new position to them. So I don't think Iran is going to go in a positive trajectory if he's going to be the ruler.
But then would this be all for naught then?
No, because in the end of the day, there's two options. There are two issues here. There is the intent and there is the capability. We take from Iran the capabilities. The intent most likely is going to stay because they're radical, theocratic regime. That's why they are. So we take from them the sword, or you can call it the nuclear bomb or the ballistic missiles. So they're going to have the intent, but not the means.
Israeli Americans who you've talked to, obviously, and who you represent, what are their thoughts on Israel's involvement in this war?
Well, what I hear from the Iranian community at large, which there is 500,000 Iranians that live in here in LA. They are thrilled, excited, extremely supportive of President Trump, because really, you know, he took a very courageous step. I don't believe that any other president would have done it. So they think that America is working seamlessly with the Israeli Air Force and the Israeli Army, and really it's a joint effort. So they are waiting for 47 years to see the Iranian people liberated. And we just saw on January 8th what happened in Iran, the massacre of 32,000 civilians in Iran. They don't forget it. I know personally people who praise me in the shul, in the synagogue, that they are Iranian descent, that one of them lost his brother because he's brutally murdered in the jail in Iran. So it's very palpable for them. It's very real. It's not a theory. So they know people. It's their own families, and people have families in Iran. So they're extremely supportive, and we're wishing good luck to the American army and to the Israeli army in trying to change the Middle East to a positive trajectory for a better life for everybody.
I was out there at some of the demonstrations in Westwood and spoke to many people, many who would not go on camera because of that very reason. They had families still there in Iran, and they were still very leery and afraid, but obviously they were joyous. In the fact that it's been 47 years. All right, we have to leave the discussion there, but hopefully you'll come back.
Thank you very much.
Okay, U.S. Consul General.
God bless America.
Okay, God bless America. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's talk more about those gas prices. Ever since the U.S. launched an attack on Iran, gas prices here at home keep going up, hitting their highest levels in months. But just how much are drivers now paying? Let's go live to Fox 11's Ed Lascos in Encino with more. Ed?
And Marla, we are talking simply pain at the pumps big time. These prices seemingly going up by the very hour. AAA out saying we've seen an increase of 8 cents a gallon from just last night at this time to now, going up 8 cents, pushing up to that dreaded $6 a gallon mark. Whew. Joe, take us right into the story. Have a look. There it is. $5.99 a gallon for regular here at the Chevron along Ventura Boulevard near Havenhurst and Encino. A penny short of $6. And if you go to Plus and Supreme, well over $6 a gallon. Even diesel pushing up near that $6 mark. And you look at these numbers, prices that seem to be really from gas station to gas station right through the San Fernando Valley. To the video we go. Let's get to it. Check it if you're out gas hunting. Well, you're looking for a bargain. Good luck. Again, nearly $6 a gallon. If you go through it, the price is anywhere from mid $5 range, upper $5 range to $6, few cents over that. AAA saying we have seen these increases 20 out of the last 21 days, going up anywhere from 75 cents to $1 a gallon. Unbelievable. And then be careful, you could be stung by something that looks just too good to be true, and it is. Driving along like over in Studio City, you might see something that says a gallon of gas at $4.99. You think that's a bargain, you pull over, and then there's a catch involved with that, a car wash. Otherwise, you're paying top dollar. Carrie found that out the hard way, went across the street, saw what looked like a good price, and then found out not at all. Listen to what she found out.
$5.39. So I came over here because their sign says $4.99. But I went in to pay, and he said, oh, that's only with the car wash.
So it's actually $1 more if you don't get this. So it's like $5.99 here.
Yes.
Crazy?
It's crazy. So I'm leaving, and I'm going back to the other corner.
And if you think that's bad, how would you like to fill up this beast, this huge bus? It's a touring bus from some rock groups. They're starting off their tour here in L.A., going up to San Francisco and then Seattle. Jimmy filling up the big tanks. Took them a long time to fill this thing up. They're filling it up with diesel. You know what the prices are. How much you think it cost him? I don't even want to think. It's too painful. Jimmy, why don't you tell us?
At $6 something a gallon, we're probably talking 600.
Just for one fill-up?
Just for one fill-up.
My goodness, 600!
Just for one fill-up.
And so if you're going all the way to San Francisco, then you're talking you're going to be in several $1,000s.
Yeah, well, we're going to Seattle, so, you know, hopefully it gets cheaper as we go up there, you know. But, yeah, these prices are incredible.
Incredible, Jimmy says. Now you're looking live. Yeah, look at that. They are incredible. And you think, when are they going to stop? We don't know. AAA says even more increases are expected, even probably a little higher tomorrow night at this time. Few cents more. That's how much they're going up. And Marla, the other part of the story comes from the folks that we've been talking to, the commuters, who say they have no choice. Commuting here from the valley, going into downtown. Some folks going east over to the Glendale, Pasadena area, saying they need it to get to work every day. And then we had the nice lady who didn't want to go on camera, Marla, but she said she's budgeting, and because of this extra gas money, no more ice cream for her. So that's how it's really hitting folks right across the board, paying big time for this gas.
Yeah, it really is painful to pull up to the pump, no matter who you are really these days. But of course, it hits those who simply just can't afford it the hardest, obviously. Okay, Ed, we'll keep a watch on this. Thank you so much. All right, still to come. I'll get there, don't worry. Up next, Iran pulls out of the World Cup, and the ripple effects are being felt right here in California. And frustration is boiling over in Malibu over a year after the devastating Palisades fires. Fewer than 40 rebuilding permits have been issued. But what's causing this delay? We'll break that all down. Plus, enough is enough. A growing homeless encampment near a senior apartment complex has residents frustrated in Boyle Heights.
And as far as our weather, I don't know what's crazier, the gas price numbers or the temperature numbers here for tomorrow. Look at all these 90s on the map. This is just the beginning of a heat wave that's set to last well into next week. The 7-day forecast coming up.
Weather is sponsored by American Career College.
Live look outside. That is the San Fernando Valley, and we're checking in with Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger, who is tracking a big-time warm-up.
Yeah, next couple of days, I mean, I don't know if people are ready for how hot it's going to be. It'll be hotter than last weekend. Many areas will be well into the 90s, record highs, and that's just the next 2 days. It's still going to be warm, not as hot, but really warm into the weekend. And next week, we got more heat to talk about as well. So enjoy the little bit of a cooler feel we have going on right now. That would be my advice. Let's look at what we saw today, which was warmer than the day before, but still, you know, with 6 degrees above average. We're going to be like 25 above average by tomorrow. Normal or average is 70, and we had a high of 76 today. Tomorrow's record, like today, is 93 degrees. I think we get to that or maybe a little above it tomorrow, and probably another record high on Friday. Friday's record to beat is 90, so that one's a little easier to exceed. Let's start with the wide view across the nation, and you've probably heard of the severe weather, the deadly severe weather in the Midwest yesterday, and it really stretched from Texas up through the Midwest with crazy hailstorms, numerous tornadoes reported, even large tornadoes, and a lot of strong straight line winds. That same line of storms is moving east, as you see right here. It's not as intense as it was yesterday, especially yesterday evening, but it is a bunch of rain, and it's moving east with some impacts, kind of like a high impact type of rain there. Meanwhile, over here, we've got high pressure bringing in some hot air, and this high is unusually strong, and the air is unusually warm for this time of year, which makes this heat wave pretty rare for March, not just for how hot we're going to get the next couple of days, but the duration of this heat wave. And what is a heat wave? Essentially, it's when temperatures are well above normal. There's no hard definition of it, but we're going to be in a heat wave for probably the next 9 or maybe even 10 days or so. But Thursday and Friday, we've got those heat advisories stretching from San Luis Obispo through the LA area and all the way down to San Diego and up to the Mexico border. Also, and I talked about that area of high pressure that moves in. It moves in, kind of moves out this weekend. Another one comes in next week. So over the next 7 days, there's this complete gap right here from California to Texas and basically everywhere in between where it's not going to rain at all over the next 7 days. You can see statewide here, maybe like the little top corner there gets something, but that's about it. All right, temperatures overnight tonight, not as cool as it's been at night, with most lows, mid 50s, upper 50s will be pretty common. And then highs tomorrow, we've got lots of 90s. The coast will be cooler in the 80s. Here's a look at Friday, which is pretty much identical to tomorrow, but I want to get to Saturday now, and you're going to see that we do have some relief. Now, still, this is well above normal for this time of year by like 15 degrees, but it's not going to be as hot this weekend as what we're seeing the next couple of days. 7-day for LA, 90s the next few days, 80s this weekend, like mid 80s, and then we see temperatures getting back up around 90 next week as this heat wave continues. Marla?
All right, Adam, thank you. We are on to this breaking news. Live pictures from Skyfox. This is in the Pico Robertson area. Look at that. That's a 7-Eleven. And yes, you are seeing a vehicle that rammed right through the storefront there. So this is on La Cienega, again, Pico Robertson area. Despite how bad this looks, you see LAFD on scene, emergency crews on scene. Despite how bad this looks, we're told there are no injuries, but yes, quite a bit of a mess. Obviously, the 7-Eleven is closed. You see it cordoned off, and people, you know, doing their best to get around this on La Cienega, Pico Robertson area. Skyfox live pictures, car into a 7-Eleven, people out there with their cell phones recording this, and maybe those are some of the 7-Eleven workers who obviously got quite the surprise. No word on what caused the vehicle to crash into the 7-Eleven. We'll work to find that out for you. All right, still to come. Outdated intelligence may have led the U.S. to strike an Iranian elementary school, killing more than 165 people. And fires, safety concerns, and even blocked bus stops. More on what's being done to address a growing homeless encampment near a senior apartment complex has residents in Boyle Heights frustrated. Only on Fox 11, senior apartment residents in Boyle Heights are outraged over a growing nearby encampment. LA City outreach teams say they've been to the site multiple times, but tenants say the problems aren't going away. Fox 11's Rachel Aragon has those details.
This encampment right behind me is off of Boyle Avenue near the 6th Street Bridge, and residents at that senior complex we spoke to say they just want to be heard and they want the city to address the encampment for good. Take a look at this video right here. The encampment butts up against the senior apartment complex and wraps around the corner. Residents say the city has been out several times to clean it up, but only for all of this to return. Well, we spoke to longtime tenants of the complex who say people at the encampment light fires, and they also say they just don't feel safe right now walking by anymore. Residents of that complex say one of the biggest issues is the fact that the encampment is now encroaching on the Metro bus stop, making it harder for people to get on and off and wait by the bus stop.
It's really gotten bad. The bus comes and goes there, and we can't board the bus or get off without walking to the encampment. I walk my dog, and I don't feel safe anymore, and I'm just at wit's ends now. No one listens.
Yesterday, Mayor Karen Bass helped open a new mental health care center in Chinatown, calling expanded treatment and residential services key to reducing homelessness. Well, city leaders say homelessness in the region has declined for 2 consecutive years. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf pressed the mayor on the city's progress, noting that some residents remain skeptical about the numbers, especially after a recent audit raised concerns about transparency and how billions of dollars allocated for homelessness programs are being spent. We reached out to Councilmember Isabel Gerardo's office, who represents this area. She says our office is aware of the encampment and has been actively coordinating with service providers to address the situation. She says outreach teams have visited the site several times, and she says the new District 14 Love team is already conducting proactive outreach, connecting people with housing referrals and services. And we also spoke to people who live at this Boyle Heights encampment behind me directly. Some of them even said the city had been out here recently, but they're still waiting for the city to follow up with assistance. Reporting in Boyle Heights, I'm Rachel Aragon. I'll send it back to you.
Coming up, we're in Malibu tonight, where some say that the rebuild from the fires is moving at a snail's pace. What residents say the main problem is right after this.
Plus, built to face the flames, we'll take you inside a new home in the Pacific Palisades that could change the way houses are built.
live across SoCal. This is LA Live News Tonight on Fox 11 Plus.
Residents are angry in Malibu at the pace of the rebuild after the Palisades fires. More than 14 months since the fire, less than 40 building permits have been issued. Let's go live to Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf in Malibu with more. Matthew?
Well, Marla, you can understand the frustration from these residents. Looking out here, this is along PCH, looking some of the most high expensive property in the country right on the beach here, and it's almost like a time capsule from where we were a year ago, and now you can understand why residents are so frustrated.
This is the family home that I was raised in, and I was raising my daughter in.
So, Barton, you were here the night of the Palisades fire. What was it like?
Everything was on fire, and no one was doing anything.
Wade. His face covered in soot.
I couldn't stop the fire.
Saying, "I'm sorry, man, I couldn't stop the fire."
Your house was gone. It was horrible. They're family to me. There was no water.
Looking back at that, did you imagine that we'd still be looking like this 14, 15 months later?
No, this is an absolute abuse.
I mean, this is where we're at today.
It is slow, and it is frustrating.
And there's no excuse for this.
37 single-family homes have had the permits approved. More than 600 burned. We're talking about 5% roughly.
We're talking about 5% in a city that has culturally been not very favorable to growth.
We just need the city and its consultants to understand the urgency.
We're on pace for Malibu to rebuild in 20 years. How do we speed this up?
At the current pace, that number could well be a reality. In this hill, if you have to construct a property, you need to undergo soils testing and geo reports and so on and so forth. Now that we have seen a number of homes go through that, and we are seeing that none of them are coming up with any sort of earth-shattering discoveries that would cause us
to...
Just
waive that for the rest of them.
Just waive that for the rest of them.
They're basically saying, well, we don't trust the geology from 65 years ago. We're going to, as long as we're going to, hold you to other code for the fire, we're going to hold you to other code that's unrelated to the fire.
Caissons, that would cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
I think we need to take a completely sort of a zero-based budgeting approach, which is if we had 10 days to issue a permit, what does the process need to look like?
People are panicking. And the longer this drags out, the more of them will just throw up their hands and give up, and we're going to lose a third of our community.
You can hear the urgency. Residents are desperate for answers. We did reach out to the city of Malibu tonight for a comment to see what they can do to speed up this process, maybe cut some of the red tape. So far, we're still waiting to hear back. Reporting in Malibu, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
It'll be interesting to hear what Malibu officials have to say. All right, Matthew, thank you. Well, in this vein, rebuilding to prevent history from repeating itself in the Pacific Palisades. That's the mission of a real estate developer who recently finished building a fire-resistant home. I set out to see it for myself. Oh, wow. Just days after the 2025 Palisades fire decimated several of his properties, including this one on Bienvenida Avenue, Artie Tavangarian was certain of one thing.
We got to do something different if we're expecting being around Santa Monica Mountains.
So the developer, with a 45-year record of building some of the finest homes under his label, the Aria Group, wasted no time rethinking rebuilding. From all that devastation to what's being dubbed the first fire-resistant home in the Palisades. Let's take a look inside. What makes this home so different?
It has a precision steel structure that is all, there's no wood framing.
In just 6 months, Tavangarian built this 4,200 square foot, 4-bedroom, 4.5-bath, 2-story home to withstand the most extreme wildfire conditions.
These are special fire-rated shutters.
It's also outfitted with heat-resistant windows. The steel frame of the home itself, 12 inches thick, designed to endure 6 hours of flames. The eaves, non-combustible.
Above all of these shutters, we have a sprinkler system, and we have a whole system that will detect the fire via satellite.
Plus, the backyard is loaded with 2 water tanks filled with 20,000 gallons.
In case there was no city water, automatically we jump in and use the tanks.
No power? No problem.
We have Tesla batteries, we have generator, we set up for solar at the same time.
The price tag to build this, Tavangarian estimates about $3 million. While it may not be feasible for everyone, he's hoping his work inspires lawmakers and insurance companies to provide better incentives for home hardening so that before long it becomes more mainstream for the sake of his family and yours. How proud are you?
Maybe it's my calling that this stage of my career to focus on something that has a bigger impact.
The end game? To prevent another January 7th. All right, Artie, it's been a delight.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Well, that home in particular, it's not for sale. Tavangarian says he built it for his daughters, but moving forward, the homes he does build will all include fire-resistant elements. All right, now to the war with Iran. A preliminary federal investigation reveals a U.S. missile strike mistakenly hit a school in Malibu, Iran, killing 175 people, most of them schoolgirls. The strike happened February 28th and was meant to target a nearby military base. Officials say the mistake was caused by outdated intelligence. At first, President Trump blamed Iran, but he later said he would wait for the Pentagon's investigation to finish. If confirmed, this would be one of the deadliest incidents involving civilian deaths caused by U.S. forces in recent decades. Well, the ongoing war in Iran is producing repercussions far from the Middle East. Today, FIFA forced to scramble and reorganize Group G matches after Iranian officials announced its team will not compete in the World Cup. Jesse Gary from our Bay Area sister station reports.
A year ago, Iran's national soccer team played so well, it easily qualified for a spot in the World Cup. Wednesday, that country's youth and sports minister telling the world his players will not come to the U.S. West Coast for games in June. Due to the wicked acts they have done against Iran, definitely it is not possible for us to take part in the World Cup.
No, I'm not surprised at all. This is what happens when sport and geopolitical conflict collides. We're seeing where athletes right now are being forced to choose between the sport that they love and ultimately what is happening in their home country.
Those types of vexing choices crystallizing in Australia Tuesday. This as 5 members of the women's soccer team choosing to seek political asylum while 2 others choose to return home.
They're safe here and they should feel at home here. We're willing to provide assistance to other women in the team, noting that this is a very delicate situation and it is up to them.
Yeah, IRGC, no, it's Australia now. You're in Australia. You're in Australia. You better run.
It's also tense, Fox News citing Australian officials as saying members of the IRGC were trying to reach the defecting team members, only to be chased away.
Women in Iran have said time and time again, it's not about religion, it's about coercion, it's about being forced.
Experts say, given the bold moves the day before, Iranian officials may fear allowing the men's soccer team to compete could lead to another run for freedom.
The fear of defection. And the fear of defection is not hypothetical. Defections have precedence. The Iranian government understands that this time they cannot have that type of friendly environment and they cannot use the team as a part of their propaganda machine.
The Iranian sports minister is restricting play, not simply because they feel as though it's unsafe here, as he stated, but ultimately potentially losing many of their top athletes.
Well, that was Jesse Gary reporting. We did reach out to the LA Sports Commission, but we're directed to FIFA, and that body has not responded to our inquiries. FIFA will have to reconfigure Group G, which could impact the level of competition. Up next, a new poll may have good news for Democrats in the California governor's race. I talked to the pollster behind these new numbers. And the Oscars are back, and Hollywood is rolling out the red carpet. Conan O'Brien is set to host the 98th Academy Awards this Sunday with big films like Sinners and Hamnet leading the buzz.
Might see some celebs sweating it out on the red carpet this weekend as we have very warm air headed our way. The next couple of days especially will be hot with a heat advisory for Thursday and Friday. Many areas into the 90s. I'll have that forecast coming up.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris has canceled several book tour stops in California. She will not appear next month in Sacramento, Anaheim, Ticketmaster cited a, quote, scheduling conflict and said ticket holders would be refunded. Harris has not said why the stops were called off. A new Emerson College poll shows LA Mayor Karen Bass facing a tough re-election fight. About 51% of voters are undecided, while Bass leads with 20% support. Conservative reality star Spencer Pratt is placing second at 10%, followed by Councilmember Nithya Raman at 9%. The poll also reveals 47% of Angelenos disapprove of Bass's performance over issues like homelessness and public safety. With 13 candidates on the June 2nd ballot, the race remains wide open. The governor's race is heating up with a new poll reducing Democrat fears of being locked out of the general election. A new poll shows Republican voters rallying behind former Fox News commentator, Republican Steve Hilton, who is now pulling ahead of the pack in this race. The UC Berkeley Citron Center for Public Opinion Research Politico poll shows this, that Steve Hilton leads with 19%, Democrat billionaire Tom Steyer in second with 13%, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, Eric Swalwell, and Katie Porter all with 11%. Now, UC Berkeley political science professor Jack Citron is co-director of the poll, and Professor Citron joins me now live from the Bay Area. Good to have you, sir. Interesting numbers here. Obviously a big deal for Steve Hilton, but how big of a deal is this for the Democrats?
Well, the greatest nightmare for the Democrats is that the top two candidates would both be Republicans, because in our primary system now, it's a nonpartisan thing, and it's quite possible for two candidates from the same party to emerge. So the good news from the Democrats in this poll is that even though Steve Hilton has the most votes in this long list of candidates, between the, Bianco is behind or tied with a bunch of Democrats. And so from the Democratic perspective, if one of their candidates could come even second behind Hilton, given that this is an overwhelmingly Democratic state, that person will win. So the three top Democrats now, Steyer, Stallwell, and Porter, are jockeying to be, they would love to be number one, but being number two is good enough, because being number two, you get to the general election, you're governor. So the good news for the Democrats is that even though Hilton seems to be consolidating his lead among the Republicans, between the two Republicans, none of the polls have showed them ever getting over 30%, because that's probably about the total number of Republican registrants in the state. And so that's where things stand.
Okay, yeah, because of course the June 2nd is a primary, and to your point, regardless of party, the top two vote getters would advance to the November general election. Up until this poll, it was Bianco and Hilton out front, leading the pack of all of the Democrats behind. So much so that just last week, the Democratic Party chair, Rusty Hicks, called on those lower polling candidates, Democratic candidates, to drop out of the race to prevent splitting the vote so much. Only former Assemblyman Ian Calderon actually did drop out. So how do you think that these new results will impact that effort?
Well, I think as time goes on, people who favor those lower polling candidates, whether they drop out or not, they're going to face this decision. Do I want to stick with the person I like the best, even though that person has no chance? Or should I behave strategically and try to identify a second choice, someone who I can be sure will be number two, so that they won't be an all-Republican, it won't be an all-Republican general primary, and then once that person emerges, they will win. So I think sort of strategic voting as time goes on will kick in, regardless of whether people formally drop out or not.
Our thanks to the professor for joining me earlier tonight at 6 o'clock. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger for a look at those headlines, hot headlines.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a pretty significant heat wave coming our way. Certainly on the rare side for March to be not just this hot, but for this heat wave to last as long as it's going to. Tomorrow, it officially starts, lasts for at least a week. I'd say probably even more like 9 or even 10 days. But some of the hottest days will be Thursday and Friday, where we see lots of 80s along the coast and 90s for inland areas. We have this unusually warm dome of high pressure that's coming our way, and it's going to sit here for a little while, departs this weekend, but another one comes in right behind it. So we see this little slight moderation in the temperatures this weekend. Here's another way to illustrate that as we show you the pattern here going forward for several days. So again, tomorrow, Friday, that high is overhead. It moves away. We still see kind of a broad high overhead, though, this weekend. So it's still going to be really warm, just not as hot as tomorrow and Friday. Here's the next round of high pressure. This one also brings some very hot temperatures with it, and this is likely to sit here from Monday through at least Wednesday, but I'd say probably even beyond that next week. And there's some signs from some long-term models that maybe next weekend we see a little break in our pattern that might start to bring those temperatures down a little more. But that is a long way off. We're talking, again, like a week and a half away. Tomorrow is sunny, even in the morning. No marine layer clouds early on. Temperatures early in the 60s, but topping out over 90 degrees. Today, the high was 76 downtown. It's going to be closer to maybe something like 94 tomorrow, which is 18 degrees warmer than it was today. And you can see how hot it's going to be everywhere else. So across the high desert, we see 80s there, low desert in the 90s, up north to Santa Clarita, maybe just shy of 90 degrees. But the hottest temperatures through these valleys in the Inland Empire and the LA Basin and Inland Orange County, that's where you see all those 90s. And then when you work your way closer to the coast, gradually the temperatures back off a little bit. And this is not a similar setup to what we had this last weekend where it was hot. That was a Santa Ana wind, which drove the heat from, the desert over the mountains and then drove it all the way to the coast. We saw, for example, the coast around 90 degrees this past weekend, as it was also close to 90 inland. This is different. Here, the ocean's going to help cool things a little, moderate temperatures a little bit in the immediate coastal areas. Still, as you see, though, very hot inland. So over the next 7 days, we talked about LA, Inland Orange County in the 90s, down to the 80s this weekend. That's what I was talking about, where it's not as hot, but still very warm. And then back to seeing maybe 90-degree highs again next week. For the coast in the 80s Thursday and Friday, 70s this weekend, pretty nice, and we won't have the wind like we had last weekend, and then we're up around 80 next week. Valleys, IE, no surprise to see the hot temperatures here. Onto the mountains, we've got 70s, which is very warm for March, might even be close to 80 next week. In the high desert, not extremely hot, 80s, which will change to 90s next week. Where we see the extreme heat is in the low desert like Palm Springs, where it's going to be around 100 this weekend and above 100 next week. Marla?
All right, Adam, thank you. Hollywood is buzzing as the 98th Academy Awards take center stage this Sunday. Skybox over Hollywood, where Conan O'Brien will host a star-studded event, and fashion and winner speeches share the spotlight. Today, they rolled out that red carpet. Films like Sinners, one battle after another, Marty Supreme, and Hamnet are expected to dominate the awards. We'll be right back.